to the United Stand. How you all doing? It's Manchester United versus Club Brugge, which we'll be talking about tonight. We'll also be talking about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's press conference comments and the latest news around Manchester United. Quite a big thing, the official RB Leipzig account answering the United Stand about Timo Werner. So we'll be talking about that as well. Also, a lot of happy birthday, Ollie. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, of course. But interestingly about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, that today, I predict this all the time. I tweeted it today. I said, one bad result for United and everyone will be going mad again. But because we've had 2 wins, the Ole in brigade attacking the Ole out brigade, it's what's going to happen. I don't feel attached to either. I've said, let's give it till May, let's see what happens, but I'm going to be a realist. But very interesting that the clean sheet thing has been focused on a lot. United have kept loads of clean sheets. As I said last night, what are we? A recovering diarrhea addict? I'm not bothered about clean sheets. I want Manchester United to score goals. Can we become an attacking side under Ole? We'll talk about that. Also, Ole was asked about the Premier League or the Europa League as he got to go after one. Gave a very interesting answer to that. But let's start off with Manchester United versus Club Brugge. 1-1 from the first leg. Look, we're only one bad result away. A 2-2 draw, we're out, so we're only one bad result away from going out of the Europa League tomorrow night, or tonight, depending on when you're watching this video. I've got to say, I'm not expecting, what I'm expecting against Everton might shock people, but we'll leave that till Friday. But certainly in relation to Club Brugge tomorrow, I'm not expecting any problems. Dennis the Menace, who was a menace in the first leg's injured. Their captain is injured. I thought they were wide open at the back and we didn't attack them enough in Bruges. So I think at Old Trafford we will do that. I can see us winning 3-4-0, to be honest with you, and I can see the bandwagon rolling on. The thing about it for me is we look to the team there, because there's lots I want to talk about tonight. I don't really want to dwell on Club Brugge too much, but I don't want to be disrespectful. I predict we'll win at 3 or 4-0, but that team there it depends how brave Ole's going to be, and I'm not going to judge him on this. I'm not going to judge him on this, and I hope I don't judge him when the team news comes out tomorrow night. I would go with a team like that because it allows you to rest people like Fred and Matic and Wan-Bissaka for the game again, and Dan James for the game against Everton, which is massive in the context of chasing down top 4. However, it depends how brave he wants to be, because if you do bring people like Pereira in, or maybe a Mata or a Lingard and a Delo, and they underperform and you don't win, people are going to say you should have gone with a stronger team. So I don't know how Ole's going to go with it tomorrow night. He might go stronger than that on the left, but ultimately you then risk Everton, who've got all week off. So I don't know what you lot think about that. But please do smash a like on the video if you're watching live, or not live, by the way. So, yeah, I've gone with Romero in goal. I think that's dead cert. I think Maguire will play as captain. I think Bailly will play because Lindelof played at the weekend, and then they can battle it out for who plays against Everton. I was going to go Brandon Williams at left back, but because Luke Shaw was in the press conference, really good comments from Luke Shaw. We'll talk about those in a minute as well. I think Luke Shaw will start because the person in the press conference normally starts. Delo to give Wan-Bissaka a rest. McTominay because he needs game time. Pereira to give Fred a rest. I don't know whether he'll risk Pereira, to be honest. He probably will play Fred. Fernandes, I think, needs to start. Bruno Fernandes, he hasn't played loads of games, has he? I would play Bruno to make sure that we win. He might play Lingard, but I would go Bruno. Mata off the right. Martial down the middle, because I don't think Agallo's ready to start yet. And then I would give, this might shock a lot of people, and I can see a few people in the live comments saying, don't play Chong. But I think that, actually, and Paul Robinson says Luke Shaw speaks very well, to be fair. I thought it was brilliant, Paul. But I would play Chong. A lot of people keep saying to me, why aren't Chong and Gomez playing? Do you think they'll sign new contracts? Well, the logical thing is to play them. They've not signed for Inter yet, as far as we know. They could have done that. They've not signed for Barcelona or anyone like that. United don't... The truth between Gomez and Chong is that Gomez and Chong want better contracts than they've been offered. And United don't want to give them more money, right? So how do you solve that impasse, right? Gomez and Chong aren't going to back down. United aren't going to back down. But how do you make the situation resolve itself? Well, if you actually play them, the players might think, you know what, I want to stay here. And if you play them and they do well, you might think, you know what, they're worth the money that they want. So for me, the obvious thing is to play them. And I would love to see Chong start tomorrow. I'd love to see Gomez involved. I don't think it's going to happen, but I think it's important that people like Dan James get a rest again. Fred, Matic get a rest. Wan-Bissaka. I think the Everton game on Sunday is massive. We've just got to make sure that we get through in this tie. And I think we've been fortunate again. I think Ollie and luck go together quite well, and there's nothing wrong with being a lucky manager. And I think that the injuries to Bruges make them redundant. I can't see Bruges causing us any problems tomorrow when they're missing their captain and their best player. So I think we'll be fine. And I think that's the sort of team that we should be looking at playing. A few people saying about Agallo starting. I don't know whether Agallo's ready to start games yet, but I certainly would keep giving him more and more minutes. I'd like to see him come on at half-time maybe tomorrow. But Twansebi and Fosu Mensah are out, Pogba, Rashford's still out, and I think Tony Grant's still out as well, the goalkeeper. Or is it Lee? I always forget his first name. Bada bing, bada boom. So, look, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in his press conference then. Let's get into that. Few people, actually, let me just tell you this first of all. So, story came out today that RB Leipzig are willing to let Manchester United have Emil Forsberg, I think he's about 28, Swedish international, can play off the wing, can also play as a number 10. I wouldn't want Forsberg. I like Forsberg, but I wouldn't want him. He's just like Juan Mata. But like Juan Mata now, I don't think Forsberg's that's good, and he's a bench player for RB Leipzig, so I don't know why United would be looking at him. But funny thing is, on the United Stand Twitter today, we tweeted out that we're only interested in that deal if the name of the player is Timo Werner. And RB Leipzig actually replied with Werner on the phone, like going like that. So look, at least it's a bit of banter, but I think they're basically saying there's no truth in the Forsberg rumour either. And I hope we do sign Timo Werner, but I think he may well end up at Liverpool, to be honest. But yeah, that was. I like the German clubs. They do have a bit of banter. And just very quickly on that, I'm going to do Real Madrid versus Man City on That's Football, which is why this is a 7 o'clock stream and not an 8 o'clock stream, because at 8 o'clock I'll be on That's Football doing a stream there. And I really want to get into the discussion about the Premier League this year and where have we dropped off massively, because I think we have. The Bundesliga, Bayern Munich with Chelsea, RB Leipzig with Spurs, they're way ahead of us at the moment, and there has been a real drop-off in quality with the Premier League, which brings me on to what Ollie said in his press conference. He was asked about the Champions League because it's common knowledge that United have lost money, and it does have an implication on the club. And Ollie was asked about that, and he said, look, the longer you're out of the Champions League, the worse it gets. Have no doubts, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is not very good at committing to what he thinks we should do. He's never said this season, has he, that we're going for top 4 or anything like that. But I think he is. I think he's very, very, very determined to get Champions League football. And I think Manchester United are as well. The importance of it is really, really, really essential. He was also asked about what's more important. The Champions. Do you need to prioritise? A lot of you ask about this. Do Manchester United need to prioritise the Champions League or the Europa League? And what he said, I think the question actually was something along the lines of Europa League football. The Europa League, is that the easier path to Champions League football? Which I think at the moment, I still think that the Premier League is still arguably the easier route, because we're only a Chelsea slip up if we keep winning from getting it. But what he said is, well, the trouble is with cup football, it only takes one bad half an hour and you're out. So at the moment, it's about. We've got Europa League, Premier League at the weekend, then we've got FA Cup, Premier League again, and then hopefully Europa League. We've just got to focus on short-termism, which is what I've said and what a lot of you have said as well. But as it stands, 5th will get you in the Champions League, says Simon Brooks. I would not be banking on that. I wouldn't be banking on that. And as Paul Robinson says, top 4 is easier by far at the moment. I would rather get the Europa, says James XX97, because it's a trophy. What would you... that's a good point. I remember this when Mourinho was manager, and we did win the Europa League, and we had a similar sort of problem because top 4 was still on at that point. And I'll be honest. I think I said it then, and I'll say it now. I would rather win the Europa League than get 4th place, because it's a trophy on your Wikipedia page. When you look back, you can go Manchester United Europa League winners 2020. So I would rather win that, but it's a risk. I remember it with Ajax. It's a risk. If you go for the Europa League and you don't get the top 4, you're like, if we lose this final, we're back in the Europa League, just like Arsenal did last year. So the risk is there, but the reward is better. How do you use the pink boots? I'm a member, says Leicester Killer Foxy. If you click the emojis, the emoji sign at the bottom, you will see all the United Stand ones as well. So that's how you do that. Let me just unclick that so I can get that back. How did we miss out on ZX, says Afsan Ali? I think Manchester United are going for... And why not go for both, says Emmanuel? I agree with you on that. And why not go for both? But I think Manchester United are going all hands in with the Sancho deal, to be honest with you. But let's also talk about, he was talking about Bruno Fernandes as well. I think the standout thing for me, what Ollie said about Bruno Fernandes, is that he's 2 seconds ahead of a lot of other players in the squad. And what that means is that before he gets the ball, he knows what he's going to do with it, and he can change his mind very, very quickly, which is quite a damning verdict on the players that he's got. But very honest from Ollie, we've tried Lingard, we've tried Pereira, and we've tried Mata, and unfortunately for them, Bruno Fernandes is on another planet. Now, if we can bring in a couple of more players like that, I think we'll be a better side. But this is the problem. They should have got Bruno Fernandes in the summer, and I will never forgive the club for not doing that. They should have done it in the summer, and they're incompetent fools for not doing it. But at least we have him now. And what we're seeing with Bruno Fernandes now, and what we didn't see between August and January, was what a difference a player who can play that position can do. We've been dealing with, frauds, essentially. They've not done a very good job, and they would probably openly admit that. And I want to just bring in here what Luke Shaw said today in his press conference. He basically said about the criticism, I tried to ignore it, but the reality is, the criticism from fans, you've got to accept it. We're Manchester United, and the fans of Manchester United are used to a certain standard of football. And if they are criticising you, they're probably doing it for a reason. So we've got to take that on board and work with that. And I thought, what a very mature answer from Luke Shaw in a world which is very snowflakey and very, but I've got these problems even though I'm shit on the pitch, which obviously those problems are important, but when you bring them to fans who are criticising you because you're not good on the pitch, it sort of makes fans guilty for having an opinion on your poor performance on a pitch. And I thought it was quite refreshing from Luke Shaw, who's been called, body fascism. He's had, he's sponsored by Pizza Hut and all this rubbish, which I think is really, really unfair. If it's banter, it's banter, but it's still, it is a very touchy subject to do that. And a lot of people do give Luke Shaw a lot of stick, and then you've got him in public being asked about it, and he doesn't go, I found it really hard, it's really hard. He's gone, you know what? I have to ignore the abuse, but take on board the criticism about how I play, because at this football club, there are standards you have to meet, and you can't throw excuses out. And I thought, whatever anybody thinks about Luke Shaw, and I think he's a fantastic player and I've always liked him, what a mature comment to come out with. Because I think too many players today, when you give them an opportunity to find an excuse, they'll give that excuse. Like if you asked another player, how do you find all the criticism and the abuse you get online? They would have gone, yeah, it's really difficult. I'll be lying if I said it didn't affect me. I'm just trying my best. What a refreshing answer to say, well, you know what? The abuse ain't right, but the criticism, it is right. Because we're not doing what we should be doing at this football club, and you've got to look at yourself there and do better. I thought, what a comment from Luke Shaw. Absolutely spot on. So, and he's doing fantastically well at the moment. So, but by the by, I thought it was a really, really good comment from him, and I'm hopeful that Manchester United can keep building with what we've got, because I think we've got some good players. It is fair he is not a modern fullback and needs to be sold irrespective of how well spoken he is, says Vandy Candy. But I think that's an agenda, Vandy Candy, and you're a moderator, so I respect any opinion. But I don't think that the criticism of Luke Shaw is fair, and that's the great thing about football, isn't it? You're very adamant about your opinion, and you're probably bubbling up inside going, get him out of my club, I don't want him. I'm sat here chilled out going, I think he's a great player, I would take him to the Euros. I think I'm very, very happy with him. That's the brilliance of it. And as we move on to something else, you've got Manchester United bigging up the fact that they're keeping clean sheets. Lots of people say, well, that's progress, you build from the back. Pep Guardiola didn't build from the back, but there you go. And some people like me are like, why are we celebrating clean sheets for Manchester United? I'd rather win 4-3 every game than 1-0. Is that not the United way to entertain and take risks? I'm not bothered about clean sheets. Of course you want to have a good defence, but I'm not bothered about clean sheets. I don't really remember clean sheet records into Sir Alex Ferguson's time. We had a good run with, I think, Evans and Vidic in goal at one point, but I'm not bothered. I would rather win every game 4-3 than 1-0. I'm not bothered about clean sheets, but some people are. Divisive opinion. And Ollie was asked about that. He said, he was asked about how the defence is doing really, really well at the moment. And he said that, it's down to the work that Michael Carrick and McKenna are doing in relation to the the defensive work and their attention to detail there. So that shows you that Manchester United are putting a lot of emphasis on their defensive work. But it's interesting, isn't it? I think it only highlights, again, for the cynic in me, and I've got to be honest, it's in me, but I know a lot of you will be there. Carrick and McKenna putting a lot of work on defensive work. I mean, they're not experienced coaches. Like, they're just not experienced coaches, and I think this is always going to be the problem. Until we start really achieving, there's always going to be that question mark about these coaches who, yeah, Michael Carrick was one of the great players that we've had over the last sort of 10, 15 years, but I'm worried about their coaching and always have been. Mark, do you agree with Ricky that Luke Shaw is best left back in Europe, or would prefer Alphonso Davies, as Nasser Harrian? Well, I'm not a flip-flop, so I'm not going to go, Davies of Bayern Munich is the best in the world because everyone saw him last night. I mean, he's a good player, but I'm very happy with the fullbacks that we've got, Williams and Luke Shaw. And Luke Shaw said that about Brandon Williams. He's got a great future. He's pushing me. I'm pushing him. Competition for places is a positive. I've always said this, that why even get into a debate about, get rid of Luke Shaw, we've got Brandon. We need two people in each position. Like, Delo hopefully can fulfil some sort of potential to fight Wan-Bissaka as well. You need a number of... I like what's potentially bubbling up between Lindelof and Bailly as well. You need that competition for places, without a doubt. Welcome to Nick Tankersley, latest member of the United Stand Members Club. That reminds me as well, the new podcast episode is out. Link is in the video description for that. We're talking about the sale of Lingard and Pogba and a few other things. Can't talk about anything that was on there, that's on here tonight, but it's half an hour, 40 minutes of exclusive content on a podcast that you can listen to at your whim, in bed, on the way to school, at work, in the bath. Make sure you're careful. Give it a listen. Links in the video description. New out today. Modder Girl says that Shaw is mediocre. He should be a sub, not a starter. That's your opinion. It's not mine. Respect it. Anyway, also, just wanted to... I do want to read this out, though. This is interesting. Now, a lot of positivity around Solskjaer at the moment. Let's hope that can continue. I think there's a bit of an arrogance on social media at the moment from the Ollie In brigade. It's almost like they're being antagonistic about it, saying, what a great manager he is, stick by him, this, that and the other. The essence of flip-flop, as far as I'm concerned. They weren't saying it a month ago. He wins 2 games and suddenly he's the best thing since sliced bread. I just feel, as I said last night, a bit of realism would be great. Instead of flip-flopping from one side to another, Ollie out, Ollie in, Ollie out, Ollie in. Can we not just say, let's give it till May and see where we are? Because there will be a bad result, and then everyone will be like, get rid of him, get Poch in again. And then we win a couple of games again, especially with the likes of Pogba back, and everyone will be like, this is great. If only he hadn't had injuries through the season, he's the best thing in the world. When, for me, there are still massive question marks about the coaching, but we are playing a little bit better because of Bruno Fernandes coming in. So I'm just like, let's just see what happens between now and May instead of having to go from one extreme to the other. I just think a bit of patience and a bit of let's just take it game to game would be really good. But something that very interesting today, and Animesh Ranjan says, how can they focus on defence and still zonal mark? Says, well, they zonal mark because that's part of the decision that they've made. And to be honest with you, the zonal marking's not been too bad of late, but I still don't like it. I still think you should pick up your own man. But Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, right? Let's just talk about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, the evolution of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and whether there is statistically any improvement. So what I did this morning is I broke every Premier League game down into 10 game segments to look at Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and see if we could plot a graph on his progress at United. So every 10 games, there's 30 points available. How has he done every 10 games on a graph? So 26 points he took from his first 10 games, 26 out of 30 points. So a graph would be like that. In his first 10 games, he was interim, but he took 26 points from 30. His next 10 games after that, he took 14. So woof, down. Okay. He then, in his next 10 games after that, he took 11 out of 10. He's dropping down again. He then took 16 out of 10 in the next one, so he's back up again. And then in the next 9, because he's not done 10 until Everton, he's took 16. So it's either stagnation or a slight improvement. So effectively, the graph has gone down, down, up, across. But it could be an up. And it could be an up again. So it could be like that. There could be a rise. So on a graph, you've got to say, give it till May. That's what I'm saying, give it till May. I mean, look, 16 points from 30... 14 points from 30, 11 points from 30. It ain't good, but give it till May. I just think that. Shaw is a true United player, says Dylan Sups. Mentally strong and has ability. Shaw / Martial agenda confuses me. Personally, I really like how the squad is shaping up. I think there are sprouts of positivity. I really do. But I also want, don't you ever get tired talking about Ollie, says Ashley Milton. Well, he's the manager of Manchester United, mate. He's just done a press conference. We've got a game tomorrow. It's sort of logical. Like a lot of people, Liverpool fans talk about Klopp a lot. Man City fans haven't got any. Arsenal talk about Arteta a lot. I don't know whether you're a football fan, but that's just the way it works. United shouldn't sign Joseph Martinez from ATL United. No, they should, says David Del Val. And look, the one thing I want to talk about that sort of caught me today, I got involved in a little bit of a debate on Twitter because I was moaning about, and I'll put my hands up, I do have a moan. I was moaning about clean sheets, and I was like, why are we celebrating clean sheets? It's not the way to be as a United fan. I mean, look, great, we're keeping a load of clean sheets, but we shouldn't be wearing it like a badge of honour. It just seems to me at the moment that anything that's positive, we applaud. Like, open a packet of Quavers, way, the cheesy waft. You know, it's like, I don't agree with clean sheets being the great thing. What I do agree with is Watford at the weekend, we had about 20 shots, I think 9 on target, something like that. That's a big improvement from what we have been doing. Let's see if we can do it against Everton. I want United to score goals, not bothered about clean sheets. De Gea's bothered about clean sheets, Harry Maguire's bothered about clean sheets. I'm not. I want goals. 3-2 every week, that'll do me. Imagine if you, I mean, look, would you rather win the title winning 1-0 every week or 3-2 every week? You're still getting 3 points. You're getting a hell of a lot more goals. I want to be entertained. That's what I want. I'm greedy. I want that. But the big thing is, the arguments are irrelevant in some ways. Oh, shut up, Mark. You're being so negative, which is actually quite ironic. I'm being negative because I don't like clean sheets when clean sheets are negative. So, but by the by with that, the important thing here is not whether you want to celebrate clean sheets. Not whether you're going to go down with this myth, well, all good teams build from the back. Load of crap. Some have built from the back, but a lot of teams don't build from the back. If you go through all the big managers, if you look at Klopp, if you look at Pep, if you look at Sir Alex, they didn't go out and build a defence first. It's a bit of a myth you build from the back. You build a spine, you don't necessarily build from the back. Some teams did build from the back. I think George Graham may have done it at Arsenal, but Ollie is a better manager than you think, Matt, says Modder Girl. I'm not Matt. And but what I want to say is that we are defending quite well at the moment. That can be for many reasons. It's probably because of 2 holding midfielders and a back 5 or a back 4. But 2 holding midfielders. Van Gaal played with 2 holding midfielders and got absolutely slaughtered for it. Ollie's done it all season, and really it gets mentioned, but he doesn't get a lot of stick for it. Ollie's getting a load of clean sheets, and everyone's like, yeah, where's my scout badge for that? It's great. Van Gaal did it. It was appalling. And we know why that is. It's because we all love Ollie. Happy birthday. We all love Ollie. He's an ex-legend of the club, so he gets a lot more leeway. That's a fact. I don't even have a problem with it. That's a fact. Van Gaal wasn't. Van Gaal didn't get the leeway. But there's very big similarities between Van Gaal and Ollie in the way that they keep it tight at the back and they shield it with 2 holding midfielders. My question is, I want attacking football. I don't want this style of football. I don't like it. I think it's negative. I don't like being a counter-attacking side. And I'm hoping in the next few months we're going to see, especially with Bruno and maybe Pogba coming back, we're going to see more attacking football like we did against Watford. That's what I want to see. The question is, pot pickers, the question is, are we going to get it? Are we going to get it? Do you think we're going to get it? Because it's a guess. It's not based on evidence. If you look at the last year since Ollie got the job for full time, he has gone very defensive. The first 10 games, as we saw, 26 points from 30. Interim manager, go out there and enjoy yourself. I'm not here for long, so let's just enjoy it. Attacking football, 1 holding midfielder, 4-3-3. What irritates me to a certain extent, I wouldn't say irritate me, frustrates me, is that we've seen this manager play the way I want us to play. The point is, will he go back to that style of play? He can do it. At Mulder, he played with 1 holding midfielder, his centre-back split, he pressed high up the pitch and they moved the ball quickly. They weren't a counter-attacking side. He tried to do it at Cardiff, he did it at United at the start, and then for the last year he's not doing it. Will he go back to that? Will he ever go back to that? Or will he never go back to that because he knows whatever happens now, he's been close to losing his job before, so let's just stick to what we're doing here, keep getting the results and keep keeping the clean sheets. And that's the question for me. if we cut through all the rubbish and say, look, we're going to give him till May. I agree with that. I hope we do get Champions League football. But what are we going to do next season? If we do get Sancho, if we do sell Pogba and get Grealish or Maddison, are we still going to play 2 holding midfielders, or are we going to play more advanced football? Because if we get Sancho and we've got Rashford and Martial and Bruno and Grealish, then they're going to make us attacking. But if the philosophy of the team isn't to attack, we're still going to be a counter-attacking side. I want us to go on the front foot. That's what I want us to do. I don't know whether we're going to do it. Mark, I've been Ollie out for a long time because didn't think he was good enough. But since Bruno and improvements in Plea, most excited I've been in 6 years, says Mac Life. Well, that's good to hear, mate. That is good to hear. Marry me, Mark. Ditch your wife. I love your hair, says Kunta Kinty. And I really hope I see more of Mata and Bruno playing together. I feel like Bruno brings out the old Mata we all know and love, and it leads to great things, says Prince Razil. We might see it tomorrow. I don't think in the high-level Premier League you can use Mata and Bruno anymore. I think Mata's a passenger. I think against slower teams Mata works, but I think in the hustle-bustle, fast-paced Premier League, Mata becomes a passenger because he can't track back and he's not quick enough. So I think if you're on the edge of the box, the little flicks and the interplay between Bruno and Mata is good, but I don't see it. Is Woodswood's support of Ollie just a smokescreen, says Anamish Ranjan? Well, some people would have you believe that. But as I said last week, when people were saying it's a done deal with Pochettino, it's not a done deal with Pochettino. The club will still stand by Ollie. People are guessing that we're going to end the season like we started the season and we're not going to get top 4 and Ollie will get the sack, so Poch will come in. This is a very similar situation to Mourinho and Van Gaal. Mourinho was free, Van Gaal was under pressure, and this happened between January and May. Van Gaal won the FA Cup but didn't get top 4 and he was sacked. Ollie, if he doesn't get top 4, may well be sacked and Poch comes in. If he does get top 4, then Poch maybe doesn't come in and maybe we'll have a different path this year. But maybe history will repeat itself. Please smash a like on the video if you're watching. We're nearly at 1,000 likes. Hi Mark, I wanted to know what made you support Manchester United and what should change for it to get back to the club you started supporting from Norway, by the way, says Guled Yousaf. Well, when I started supporting Manchester United, it wasn't dissimilar to now. I mean, I was only a young lad in the late 80s and United were not a good side. Liverpool were dominating. You know what? We're back in 1989. Give him time. We're back in 1989. As a young United fan, this is very, very similar to Manchester United now. Liverpool were dominating the game and they couldn't dominate Europe because they got us kicked out of Europe. I'm not going down that road, but they were dominating the English game. I was surrounded by Liverpool fans who were very, very smug, and United had been a long time since United had won a title. So there are similarities. So when people say, get back to the way United were playing when you started supporting them, well, a lot of United fans of a certain age will have supported United when they were good, because that's just the age they were when United were good. But for me, in the late 80s, United weren't that good. So what made me support Manchester United? My granddad supported Manchester United because of the Busby Babes in the 50s and was just a massive Duncan Edwards fan. So that was just sort of what I grew up with, and that's where my love for Manchester United began, because I'm not from Manchester, but that's where it came from. What will it take for United to get back to that? I think, look, even in the 70s, I wasn't alive in the 70s, but people say, look, we did get relegated in the 70s, but we played some bloody good football in the 70s. Manchester United have to play a certain brand of football, and I just look, I know the Ollie inners aren't going to like this, and I'm not an Ollie outer. I'm just like, let's see what happens between now and May. But one of the things that's irritating me at the moment, and some people might say I'm a bit obsessive about it, maybe I am, I can't be doing with the celebration of clean sheets, because it's not who we are. And that's not like who I want us to be. It's not who we are. We've never been that club. 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, noughties. We've never been a club that goes for clean sheets. Manchester United, it's running through our veins. Risk-taking, attacking football. We didn't see it under Van Gaal. We didn't see it under Mourinho. And now we're not seeing it under Ollie. But Ollie knows this. I know it's a bit like Darth Vader, isn't it? I know there's good in him. I remember when he was Anakin. There's good in him. When he first came in, he was good. Then he turned to the dark side and went all bloody defensive. We need to get his mask off. We need to get him back playing good football, attacking football, because he knows it. I just don't think he's got the balls to do it at the moment. And I'm hoping that maybe we're seeing it a little bit with Bruno, and maybe with Pogba back, we will go on the front foot a little bit more. But it's hard to change. Maybe we won't. Maybe we won't this season, and then maybe we'll all be hoping for it next season. It's very difficult to change your style of play in March. So maybe we won't. I don't know. But this is the thing with me at the moment. I'm not Ollie out. I'm like, let's see what happens in May. There's no point. I don't see any point in being Ollie out at the moment. Do I think he will be our manager long term? Probably not. Do I think he can win a title? No, I don't think he can. But I don't want to make any decision about him till May. But the thing that I really want to see is some attacking football. I want to be proud of the way we play, and that's something I always was proud of Manchester United, because we played a certain way. Knowing United will sell Pogba and replace him in January, says Havas Mohammed. Well, I would hope that United have got things in place very soon. But look, now is not the time really to be ultra negative. I think United are doing really well. We've in a short period of time, we've won a couple of Premier League games. I expect us to beat Club Brugge tomorrow. I mean, I'll be stunned if we don't beat them tomorrow night. I think that they're there to be got out. Ironically, I think if you attack Club Brugge, they leave loads of space at the back. That's what we need to do tomorrow. And I'll say this now. I think we're going to beat Everton on Sunday, and then I think Everton is such a big game. If you go to Everton and win, that's a really big result. Like, Chelsea lost there. Like, that's a really big result. So we're on the cusp of something here, and it can get more positive than it is now, and I hope it does. I just want us to play more attacking football, because I'll listen to opinions that are different to mine on many things, but I will never listen to anybody trying to tell me that we've played attacking football this year, because we know we haven't. We know we've been ultra defensive, and Ollie knows we've been ultra defensive, and I just want it to stop. Ollie used this season to sort this squad out. Jesse, Pereira, Mata are still Deadwood on board. Fred and McTominay are class compared to 1 year ago, said Ivor. Yeah, but Ollie's got to take some responsibility for that, Ivor, because he was the one who stuck by and kept using Pereira and Lingard and Mata, and he's that was what his season was going to be. Let's not forget, Bruno Fernandes was not meant to be coming in January. That was brought forward from the summer. Like, that was a desperate let's get him now. They weren't planning on doing that. Remember what they said? We're only going to sign somebody in January if it's a summer target that we can get now. So Bruno was meant to come in the summer, apparently, not in January. So the club decided that Mata, Pereira and Lingard were enough for that number 10 position, and they woefully weren't. Statistically, performance, whatever, they woefully weren't. And that's on the coaching and that's on the club, because I honestly, and many of you would have said, those players aren't good enough to play that position if you want top four. If you want a if you want a mid-table battle, play them, but we got that wrong. We also didn't get enough strikers in when we let Lukaku and Sanchez go on. But ultimately, these things are things to look back on at the end of the season now. We have a bit of momentum. We have a little bit of consistency. We all know that that's important. We've taken 3 points from our last 2 games. From August to January, we were taking 1.4 points a game. That was what we're averaging. So the last 2 games, we've massively smashed that. Let's see if we can keep it going. I think it's exciting at the moment. I'm not going to get too excited because it can all come crashing down very quickly, but I think it is exciting. And in a season where it's been a bloody horrible at times, yeah, you know what? I'm on board. Let's just see where it can go, and I hope it can keep going. Hi, Mark. Who is the manager you would like to manage United? Said I love this game. I'm going to be consistent on that. I don't want to be disrespectful at this point, because it just doesn't seem that relevant to me at the moment. Jordan M says that lineup. WTF. Yeah, but Jordan, what I'm thinking about here is Everton on Sunday. Everton have got the whole week off. They're an energetic side, and I think we've got to use the squad. But I think he'll go stronger than that tomorrow night. I don't know what you lot think. I would go with that team, but there's a big element of trust with that team. It allows you to rest Wan-Bissaka, Fred, Matic, Dan James, Brandon Williams. But Ollie may not want to do that, because Ollie may be like, if I get this wrong, I can only make 3 subs, and if we lose, I'm in deep crap. So he might go strong in this game and risk the Everton game. But then again, we could win both with a strong team, because, we've only been back playing a couple of weeks. So maybe we can do Thursday, Sunday at the moment, and maybe go a little bit weaker in the FA Cup midweek next week and have a week off. he could do that. Thanks everyone for watching. Smash a like on the video. 2 things to tell you. 1, the podcast is out. It's only been out a few hours. The link's in the video description for there. You can win a giveaway there. We've just given away a United Stand hoodie to somebody through the podcast. We do that every week on there, so make sure you're listening to the podcast. You don't have to listen to it now, but be aware that it's there to listen to at some point over the next couple of days. And also, I'm doing a Man City watch-along, Real Madrid. Did Chelsea last night. We watched the game, but we were talking about a lot of things. One of the subjects I really want to talk about is the Premier League and how weak it is compared to last year and why that is. So we'll be talking about that 8 o'clock. Mark Goldbridge, That's Football, Real Madrid versus Manchester City watch-along. We'll carry on the chat on there. Also, we're talking about the banning of headers in football. And, that's heading in football is probably going to be gone in the next 10 years. What do you think about that? 8 o'clock. That's Football. Join me for that. Watch along Real Madrid versus Man City. So I'll see you on there in a mo. Thanks for watching. Smash a like on the video. Subscribe if you're new. And of course, tomorrow we've got all the game and watch along and fan cams, etc. See you soon.